Hi everyone and welcome back to another Mixed Media Tuesday, and today I'm going for an art journal page which is really easy to put together. The idea today is to show you that you don't really need to have special products to create an art journal page, so you can start with the basics. So here I have my ring journal, and the paper that is included in this one is just plain scrapbooking paper. So you can easily recreate what I'm doing today on a simple piece of paper. Of course, this is not going to take acrylic paints or too much water nicely, it's going to warp. However, you can still work on what you have. So here are some of the pages that I have shared already on this ring journal. All I do is just take out one of the pages, start working on it, and then I just put it back in the binder. So just grab any piece of paper that you have that has quite of a neutral design where you can build up other things on top. And let's start with layers. The first layer that I'm doing here is to add some rice paper. You can use tissue paper, you can use napkins if you like, you can tear off book pages and stick them down, or tear off pieces from a magazine. Just be creative and create a collage on your background. Now to stick everything down, I will be using rice paper glue, but again, you don't really need to have this special glue. It is good if you have it, but if you don't, just use whatever you have. A glue stick is just fine if you ask me. If you have any liquid glue that it is easy to spread with a brush, then it's even better, and you can use it on top of your napkin or your rice paper to make sure that you seal it down nicely. So step 1 was to tear things and stick them down. Step 2 is to do some stamping. Just use any text stamp that you might have in your stash. This is going to match pretty much everything, and I'm going with plain black ink pad. Now, if you do have permanent ink, then it is a good idea to use that one, because in case you want to add splatters or something runny later on, a liquid, then you don't have to worry about smudges. But just to show you that you don't really need to have everything, I'm going with dye ink, which is not permanent, it reacts with water, and later on purpose, I'm going to add water to do smudges and ruin my background. This way you will see that it doesn't really matter. Everything looks organic and kind of comes together at the end. Now I started stamping with a stamping block, but I prefer a more organic and uneven look. That's why I decided to stamp with my fingers. I like that look better, and I'm going to stamp with this in different parts of the page. This is completely random, I'm just going ahead and stamping in different areas. I don't know where the focal point is going to be later on. The only thing that I'm paying attention to is not to end up with perfect rectangle blocks. Now step 3, do some stenciling. Use any stencil that you have and add some texture. If you go with white paste, then it is even better because it's not going to make the background look too busy, since white doesn't really add any color. Now my volume paste is even quite dry, but I'm going to use it all the way to the bottom. I'm not wasting any product. So I'm just going to go over that stencil and randomly add some letters, some text on my background. Now I get a lot of questions about the paste. I go with the volume paste because I like how thick it is. Well, when you get the jar, it's not as thick as it is now, since I have been using it for a few months now. But in any case, it is nice and thick and it keeps its volume. However, any embossing paste, texture paste, modeling paste that you have would do the trick. Before you move on to the next step, make sure that everything is dry, and you can see that this is a plain piece of paper, so of course it's going to warp a little bit. I don't care at all, I'm just having fun, not worrying about the perfect supplies. I'm going to try and show you how it looks closer to the camera. I absolutely love it, just simple steps and you have a lovely background. And now just grab any piece of paper that you have and cut out some things from it. Just create your very own ephemeras. I'm sure you all have some background papers that you don't use. So here I'm just cutting out bits and pieces that I can use later on for my layering. Again, at this stage I don't know what I want to use. I just look for elements that I can layer on top of what I already have, and since I do have those purple flowers, lavender flowers, I'm going with lavender ephemeras for my layering. If you want to add some volume on your cutout pieces, then just use the edge of your scissors and rough up the edges a little bit. This is going to give movement on your elements, and when you layer one on top of the other, they are not going to look flat. Other everyday elements that you have in your house and you can use on art journaling are receipts, leaflets, just tear off some packaging, pieces of fabric, corrugated cardstock, washi tapes. Just think what you have all around that you can use. Here, for example, this is drywall tape. This is going to give an extra layer on your background. It's not going to add bulk, and at the same time it doesn't turn your background look busy no matter what color of background you have. So it really works with everything, and I absolutely love the look. So I just cut out a couple of pieces. I'm going to stick them down. Again, completely randomly, I'm just playing with the layers, layer upon layer, until I'm happy with the background. And at this stage, I haven't even added any color yet. So all the color that I have is just from the background and the rice paper that I was able to stick on top. So I'm going to show you an easy way to add color. If you do have watercolors, you can do that. If you only have dye inks, you can definitely do what I'm doing now. No acrylics, no nothing. Just swipe a little bit of that ink on your mat and then water it down. This is going to turn into watercolor. Use a brush and add some color on some random areas on your paper. If you do have acrylic paints, then you can get the same look if you just water down your acrylic paints a lot with water. And of course, remember, I'm just working on a simple piece of paper. It's not watercolor and it's not thick mixed media paper. However, I make sure that I don't transfer too much water, so that although it warps a little bit, it's going to be just fine when I heat set it. Now, I'm also adding some splatters, and I absolutely love how the background looks. Take a look at the stamping. I did add water on top of non-permanent ink. It is a little bit smudged, but I really don't mind. So don't worry about things like that. If you don't have the perfect supplies, just go ahead and have fun. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, when you do the layering, most of that is going to be covered, or you will only be able to see bits and pieces from here and there. So don't worry too much about perfection. And now this is the time to play with the focal points. If you do have ephemeras, just take them out and start auditioning what you want to use. If you don't have ephemeras on hand, then you can go online and just print out something that you can cut out and use as your focal point. You can use stickers, you can use cutouts from magazines. Just be creative if you don't have everything you need. So here I'm just using some ready-made ephemeras. I am going to go with that beetle car. I think it is just adorable. And then I'm just going to layer everything, trying to decide on the composition. Once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to stick everything down. Again, today I'm keeping it very simple with basic techniques that you can easily recreate. To stick everything down, I'm using my matte glue. Again, use what glue you have. I am not going to add too much, just mainly at the center of the pieces without adding glue at the edges. This way I am able to tuck things underneath as I go along to create my composition. So it is good to do that when you are going to do lots of layering. Just add glue only on the very important areas, not all over the place. So I'm just going to stick my card there, and with this page I can go a little bit dimensional since this is for a ring binding journal. It's not a book where I will end up with too much bulk, so that card is actually made out of chipboard and it is a little bit thicker than an element that I would normally use inside a book. Now I happen to have the washi pad from the same collection. If you have a certain scrapbooking collection, that I'm sure that you can fuzzy cut bits and pieces to dress up your focal point and create the composition look fuller. Now here I'm just going to use some of these elements. Again, you can use washi tape, you can use stickers, you can use all those things that I told you before. Just print out elements, use cutouts from magazines, and build up and dress up your composition, make it look more full. So here this is washi tape actually, so I'm using my ceramic pen and I'm cutting all around so that I can easily peel it off and stick it on my journal. The nice thing about using washi tape for layering on a journal is that it is semi-transparent, which means that it's going to blend nicely with what is already there. It's not going to cover it up completely, so it's a lovely way to create layers. And this is also easily repositionable, so if you want, you can easily peel it off and stick it on another area. If you want to make sure that this is going to stay permanent for good, then you can just use some glue underneath and even seal it on top. I'm not going to do that because I don't really mind, it's going to stay put there, and I'm not a very big fan of adding too much glue on my journals. So I'm just going to play with the elements, stick them here and there. And now the next step is to do some detailing once you're happy with your composition around your main focal point. So all I'm doing here is just create a border with a thin black marker. I am drawing a line. If you try to draw this line straight, you will see that it ends up a little bit wonky. I am going to do that twice, and it's going to create a lovely and easy border. You can do some doodling if you like, either around the border or on top of your focal point, like add some sketchy lines around your cutouts. I'm not going to do that for this page, but I'm going to bring in my white gel pen so that I can add some highlights here and there. Of course, there is no art journal police. All the steps that I'm showing you are completely optional. I'm just showing you what works for me and my usual process. Finally, I'm going to add some white splatters. I like to do that lately by using white calligraphy ink, but you can definitely do that by just diluting white acrylic paint. Now, on my journals, I always like to add a motivational quote. So for that, I'm just going to use this piece of scrapbook paper. This is the one that I designed for Secret Diary, and it has tons of sentiments that you can use. I am going to cut out a couple of them so that I can stick them on top of my page. Alternatively, you can just print out anything you like by using your computer. Just go ahead and have fun. Find a nice quote that matches with your focal point and stick it down. You can definitely write down your quote. You can even use stamps to put it together, or you can even go ahead and die cut letters to put the words together, which is definitely all techniques that I rotate on my pages. So that's it, my page is ready and I'm absolutely happy with how it looks. We put together this page without having a plan from the start. I just went ahead with the flow, trying to show you things to do, mainly focusing on the techniques and not the actual products, sharing lots of alternatives, and I hope that today it was fun for you as it was for me. Here are some close-up photos on the project that I did for today. You will find a full list of all the supplies that I used down below in the description. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time.